the soul part is the part that I didn't even pay attention to earlier in my career. It was like, okay, I gotta, achieve, and I gotta do my best here. And so, success, going for success. And I totally wound up burning myself out. And I did.
Hey everyone, welcome to Start Your Week Great, Start Your Week with the Coach. I am your host, Certified High Performance Coach Sean Butner, and today we have an amazing guest, Mim Abbey, one of my good friends. And Mim is an established leader in the field of both professional and personal development, and has 20 years experience helping people and companies become more effective to reach their personal, professional, strategic, and relationship goals. Now, Mim brings up an unmatched depth and expertise that combines her authentic approach and dynamic delivery to equip people with the tools that they need. And as a result, Mim has done speaking engagements, workshops, does coaching one-on-one and in groups, has worked and helped grow Fortune 500 companies all across the globe, including Asia, Europe, Middle East, Africa, you get the world. And Mim is an experienced event presenter for global and corporate events and conferences, and has contributed to major publications like Huffington Post, and has appeared on local news and the Hallmark Channel Morning Show. So Mim, again, works with individuals and teams and leaders in organizations like Microsoft, Yahoo, Cisco, Bloomberg, Pfizer, Goldman Sachs, KKR, JPMorgan Chase, Tiffany, NBCUniversal, HuffPost again, Metlife, Estee Lauder, Raytheon, and Fidelity Investments, just to name a few of the great things and great organizations she's worked with. So today, as you know, Start Your Week with the Coach is all about helping you get habits and strategies to help you level up your life. And these interviews are just highlighting people that have gone before and have great things to share. And I'm very, very happy and humble to welcome Mim to the show. So Mim, thank you so much for being on here. And thank you for, I just said thank you for being here, but.
Thank you, Sean. Well, it's so funny. I'm just hearing you. Thank you for the warm welcome. I'm a little bowled over, and just really, I so appreciate you having me here. I love what you're doing, Sean. It's a privilege to be on the show. I love your mission. I love your vision and what you're looking to do with people. And so and yes, we are buddies, and it is just such a privilege to come alongside of you with what you're already doing. So excited to be here.
Likewise. Thank you. So, we were talking a little bit before. We have the set questions that we ask all our guests here. So we'll kick off that and try to incorporate some of the things that we talked about before. But the first big question we love to ask people on the show is, who are you? What do you do? And how do you get there? Maybe elaborate a little bit on that impressive bio.
Oh gosh, thanks, Sean. Yeah, happy to do so. So yeah, at a really high level, who am I in terms of like what do I do in the world, or who am I in the world? I'm someone who loves to help people to grow and succeed. That's it. I mean, I'm such a learner myself, and whenever I learn something, it's like I want to turn it around and tell other people about it. So I love to help people to learn, to grow, to succeed. And I've been doing it my entire career since I was 22. So it is I was lifelong, but at least career long passion. So yeah, I can get more specific on that. I essentially help people gain the skill sets they need, and what people don't think about a lot, but so important. The other part of it is the mindsets, not just the skill sets, but the mindsets that they need to get to a higher level of success. And typically I do this in a work setting, helping people to be more successful at work, but which is very gratifying in and of itself. I love seeing people gain a specific tool, go out and use it, and 2 hours later, they just had a really successful something. They closed a deal, or they got agreement in a meeting, or that kind of thing. So that's very gratifying. What's also really gratifying is then when people come back and they say, yeah, gosh, that communication tip, or that interaction concept that was so helpful. I went out and, used it on my family and it worked and it was amazing. And I mean, I had a gentleman tell me once, gosh, my teenagers are talking to me since the first time they became teenagers. I just loved that. So that's what I do, is help people with specific areas. I've already started to get ahead of myself, but really, when I look back at my career, Sean, the like 3 big areas that I help people in, but it's hard to break them apart because there's so much commonality, which I'll talk about. But one is teamwork. So I help people figure out how to communicate and how to work together and how to work together to solve problems and work together to create things. That's, if you get a group of people together, they're supposed to, or a team of people together, they're supposed to do something, solve something, or make something happen. And so you got to be able to communicate well and work through the ruffled feathers and all that, and learn how to speak the same language. So that's one area. Another area, I work a lot with sales teams and have over the years, and with individuals in sales and sales leaders, and then intact sales teams. And in sales, you got to know how to present. You got to know how to present yourself and present your ideas. And so that's a really important part. And then here's a tricky one. You've got to be able to learn how to build trusting relationships, like trusted relationships with people who are skeptical of you. Because if you're in sales, people assume, oh, he's gonna, sell me something. They're just gonna sell at me. And so you can't sell anyone anything if they don't trust you. And so how do you build that trust? So that's really fun, helping people get the tools and the skills that they need. They need influence, they need confidence, and they need to lead people somewhere. And that's my third area, actually, is leadership. I do a lot of work with leaders, and whether it's people who lead companies or people who lead like a team on the ground, so to speak. And if you're a leader, you got to have vision, and you got to inspire people towards the vision, especially when times get tough and people are on a throw in the towel and they're just dragging. And how do you keep them going? How do you influence them, steer them, and really, really support them? So what I have found is that with those areas, the teamwork and the sales and business development, and I work with a lot of companies where they don't call it sales. They say, I'm not, maybe they're attorneys or they're people in finance roles, and they don't, they don't feel like, I'm not a salesperson, but they're responsible for bringing in business. So, business development, either way. So teamwork and sales and business development and leadership, what I have found is that there are some serious commonalities in those areas. And that the skills that help you to be successful as any of those are the skills that whatever you're doing in your job, you're a leader or you're not, doesn't matter. You're selling or you're not, doesn't matter. There's like common skills that are going to make or break it when you are looking for career growth. And so people who are in business, maybe, like I said, finance or legal or sales, or they're in technical role, they're an engineer, or they're in creative roles. They're a writer, they're a designer, they're a director, who knows? I've worked with all of them. And again, there's these, doesn't matter the role, there's certain things that have to do with working with people and being organized and all of that are going to make it or break it. So that's a little bit of, my timeline background, Sean. I started my career in the computer industry, and I spent 5 incredible years in the computer industry at a data storage company in California, where I'm from. And then I went into external consulting, and I moved to New York City, and I work with a lot of big companies, and that's, started getting to work around the globe. And then ultimately I moved back to California, still in, consulting. After those first few years in the computer industry, I've been in consulting ever since. And so, that work has grown and grown. I'm living in LA now. And in the past, I've been on a lot of planes and in a lot of hotel rooms. But now, fortunately, I'm in the comfort of my own home office, like so many of us are right now.
Right.
So that's kind of like where I've come from.
Okay.
That was a mouthful. So thanks for giving me the floor.
Of course. So I guess one of the questions that came up when you're talking about helping people with building teams, with business development and sales and leadership is, how has that changed this past year for you during COVID with more people working from home to keep it tie it all together?
Yeah. It's so been working with a lot of leaders who have had to just adjust everything to figure out, how do I keep my team engaged? And how do I help people to just stay in the game when they're just feeling isolated, or they're feeling, everyone, one thing I definitely heard over and over is everybody agrees that they're actually working more than they worked before. Because before, if you had a meeting and then you had another meeting, you at least got to, at least got the 10 minutes to walk from this part of the building to that part of the building. If not, maybe you were out driving to a customer or something. And so like you had this transition time, and now people are meetings. I think at the beginning, people were setting meetings for, okay, I got a 9 a.m. and I got a 10 a.m. and I got and there was no transition time. So like some people are, we've definitely coached people to don't have an hour-long meeting. Don't have a 30-minute meeting. You have a 20-minute meeting. 20-minute. It's amazing what you can get done in 20 minutes. Or if it's an hour meeting, it's a 50-minute meeting. Like you got to give yourself the transition time. And then it's the connection, like more points of connection. And those for leaders, it's those one-on-ones you used to have every month or every 2 weeks. You're having them every week now. Mm-hmm. And a lot of leaders are doing like morning stand-ups, and literally like people have standing desks. I've been in meetings or I've led workshops where people are moving the whole time because they've got their stuff in front of them, but they're on their treadmill or they're on their, stationary, but like, anyway, so encouraging those types of things, but every morning getting the whole team together, even if it's 10 minutes virtually, but to get some of that face time. And, I know a lot of teams are doing happy hours and all those things, virtual happy, of course. Right. All those. So making more of an effort to connect. And you know what's funny? I remember learning this as a college student, Sean, that I showed up at college in the Midwest and had the lottery in terms of a roommate. And I kind of won the lottery. I had an awesome freshman roommate. We went on to live together the next year too. But I remember that we looked at each other one day and we said, I never see you, because you don't make plans with your roommate because you figure you're going to see your roommate. But I remember we were always coming and going. And so it was the people that I didn't live with that I had to be intentional about, to like, let's have a date at the dining hall there, to have breakfast or something. Like, so I had more deep conversations with other people because I planned it. And I think that that's one of the things that's come out of, there's so much that's lost with being virtual, but one of the things that's gained is people have had to now really be intentional about building their connections with people. You can't expect to drop by, you're going to see them at the water cooler or run into them at the hall, in the hall. And it's nice when that can happen. So I'm not saying that's not a good thing. That's a great thing. But when you're virtual, you have to be more intentional, and there can be a quality of interaction that happens there that might not happen when you're not so intentional.
Oh, absolutely. I love this kind of thread of intention. You talked about, having the 20-minute meeting and how much you can get done in a 20-minute meeting. Well, part of having that goal of 20 or 50 minutes is you have to be very intentful. What am I going to accomplish? What are we, talking about? What do people really need here? What, we have to be very concise in how we're communicating in those types of meetings. And I love that. And then and I know for myself this past year, a lot of I'm originally from Chicago, living in Berkeley, as my audience knows. And so like every time during the holidays, like go home, family and friends, it's like we pick up where we left off. And then throughout the year, as people have kids, as life happens, we always know that Christmas is going to be a time where at least everyone's in town, and we can hang out. But this past year, being able to create like Zoom events where we're like playing trivia games or, stuff that, since we're physically distant, but, so close or closer now because of technology. And everyone's like, we should like get on a Zoom call for the last 10 years, 5 years, however long it's been. But this was the catalyst for it. And then that intention of, I feel more connected with them. I know what's going on in their lives, so
Great.
That whole idea of setting an intention with this virtual space, I think is something that's a really great takeaway for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
you hear or can think about a place in your life where maybe there's a relationship where you could reach out a bit more, or, I've not talked to my family more regularly than this past year. Like, used to be every other week. It's been nearly every week. So it's, I love that idea. And I just thought that we should maybe tease that out. So
I love it, Sean. And, for you as a high performance coach, I mean, I'm sure I know you coach people in that intentionality and being more intentional about, what do you want? Where do you want to be? And then let's backtrack and look at, so what is that going to, reverse engineer it? So what does that mean to tomorrow? If you're going to be, what do you need to do intentionally tomorrow so that you can get to that thing? So I know you know all about that. And I totally agree. Old friends. I mean, we even have a high school friends, like really dear friends that we've loosely stayed in touch. And now we've got our weekly, sometimes we skip a Saturday, but we got our weekly Zoom. It's a precious thing. Yeah.
Awesome. So. Yeah. It really is. That's so good to hear too, that it wasn't just my
connection.
experience.
Connection, just forcing connection. So I don't you love, Sean, how, it's been such a challenging year. I mean, for so many people are going to look back and say, they're already saying that was the hardest year of my life. I mean, it's no question. And and I love that it kicked us in the pants in terms of those, just even that connections. Like, we can't just be lazy about it anymore, because human beings, we need it. It's a requisite for our health on every level. And so it really has forced us, along with all the trauma and the incredible sadness of what's happening, something to take out of it is, let me never slip back into taking it for granted, my relationships and these connections, and let me be intentional about it. So it's a great thing to take and to not let go, as ultimately, who knows the timeline, but ultimately we're going to be able to move forward more.
Definitely. Like, I am the silver linings guy. And so if we have to take anything from all this struggle this past year, carrying these connections in these new ways is definitely the torch to hold. So,
Sean,
okay.
Well, Sean, I have to add to that, because I know my parents would have loved you. My parents had a saying, and it has meant so much to each of my siblings and me, and now to the next generation. And I've shared it with clients, and it is just so good. The saying is, don't waste the suffering. Don't waste the suffering. And just, it sort of speaks for itself, but the reminder that, like, it's life and there will be suffering. So just it's not if it comes, it's when it comes. Like, just don't waste it. Find that thing. So there's your silver lining. I love that. Love that about you.
Oh, likewise. I love that phrase. I might steal it.
Yeah, steal it. Steal it. Mims, mom and dad. I think it was originally came from my mom, and my dad said, "Wow." So I don't know where she got it, but
awesome. So okay, to kind of switch gears up after, like, I love everything we've talked about so far. But you mentioned working in organizations with teams and leadership and sales and business development, how they all kind of come together.
Yeah.
And so in that context, what does high performance mean to you? Maybe it's in each of those contexts, or maybe you said, like, there's a, through line through that.
Yeah.
So however that comes to you, how would you describe high performance?
Yeah, so it's such a great question. And I love, Sean, it's a great question and a great timing too, because it fits right into what you and I have just been talking about. I really believe in what you do, that intentionality. And I had a friend years ago say, she said, you use the word choice a lot, or choose a lot. I think it was choice. You use the word choice a lot. And I was like, I do? Oh, okay. But, and I realized, then I started noticing, wow, I do use it a lot. because, life is a choice, and it's a series of choices, and you can take things as they come and let things roll and sort of be at the end of the whip, or you can make a choice. So when I think about high performance, I definitely, the first thing that comes to my mind is choice, that you're someone who has made a choice and you continue to make a choice and you do it every day. You don't take a day off of high performance. And I don't mean that in a stress way. I mean that you've set something for yourself, and you set a vision for yourself of, what you want, who you want to be, and you make that choice, and then you keep making it every day. Repetition is I think Tony Robbins said, repetition is the mother of skill. And that consistency is so important. So first of all, it's you making the choice, and then next, I would add to it is that you are performing beyond, and like beyond maybe maybe the less considered you, in your former days, like beyond maybe what you had thought you could do, and certainly beyond what other people are doing. Most people. And I don't say this, I mean, I know it well. Most of us, we just sort of, we're just going through life, and we don't know. It doesn't occur to most people, or it just until at some point. And for a lot of people, I think never at a point where, you can do more and you can be more. And there is more in you. I had a friend, close colleague, post on LinkedIn today something about, the great thing about the journey is that finding out that the strength that you needed was inside all along. And so there is this you that's in there. And at Soul of Success, we talk a lot about the true you. There's this true you that's in there. It's like saying, hey, unleash me, let me go. So I would say start with, it's the idea of choice, and then it's the idea of performing beyond maybe what you had thought, and then beyond what other people are doing. And then the final thing is kind of set it with the daily thing. It's you show up with it every day, and it's like you don't want to have it's not a one-hit wonder sort of thing. It's no, they talk about in the field of psychology, very common, and I certainly know it myself in my life, black and white thinking. So like, okay, I'm going to conquer today. And then you hit with a challenge and you got knocked off your horse, and then you're too discouraged to get up the next day. But it's how to get on. So you have a strategy and like a plan for getting on track when you with the day, when you wake up every morning, and then you have the backup plan. So when I get hit a curve, thrown a curveball, then here's my backup plan. So you really set yourself up for being the not just even the best you, but the even bester you. That's not a word, but anyway,
more better,
we get the idea. Yeah. I mean, that's what I would say. Long answer, but choice beyond yourself and beyond others, and do it every day.
That's awesome. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with the high performance. I'd call it the credo, but the goal of high performance are defined as beating what's ever consistent in your life, what is normally consistent in your life, without burning out. So without injuring your health or relationships. Yes. So I love that it's making that choice. It's, being more than yourself, which is aligned with the research from high performance. I just completely lost your third point. What was?
Just doing it consistently. Just showing up every day. Yeah. So you got it. It's like the habits, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that is all that I do as a coach is help people make better decisions for themselves, stretch themselves, and then operationalize it every day so that they're more resilient, and just live into their full potential. Because there's a sense of joy that comes with pushing yourself, or at least on that edge, right? You don't want to overdo it and then, it comes crashing down on you. But, being in that sense of flow that I'm learning, I'm progressing, is such a good thing. So I love your definition of high performance, and it matches the research that I stand behind in my work.
That's awesome, Sean. Two things that you just said, if I may comment on.
Of course.
I always think about, I really like what you said about the edge. You don't want to go over the edge, like put yourself too far, too fast. Like there is a pacing of it, but you can go further. I think most of us don't know we can go further often a little faster than we think we could. And so pushing yourself, I call it with my clients, we talk about being on the front edge of your own excellence. And it's always on the front edge because there's, you're doing your A game, but what about your A plus game? And so what is going to put you at the front edge of your own excellence today? And then further next week or further next month or further. So, if you're handling things now the same way you were a year ago, you take a look at that, because you actually could be handling them better. You have absolutely the capacity in you. So anyway, the front edge of excellence. And the other thing I want to comment on was, Sean, you talked about the not burning out. My company's name is Soul of Success. And the soul part is the part that I didn't even pay attention to earlier in my career. It's like, okay, I got to, achieve, and I got to do my best here. And so, success, going for success. And I totally wound up burning myself out. And I didn't, you wouldn't have known it because I put on the happy face.
Right.
But like my body started to break down. I, had feet issues and jaw issues and back issues. So, I'm a firm believer that like the definition of success is so not that old, tarnished idea we have of, dog eat dog and, just, burning. I had a client that shared with me that one of their clients their clients are law firms. And one of the famous stories of a very prominent international law firm is that two people at that firm, and this was a point of pride for them, two people at that firm died at their desks.
Oh, no.
Died at their desks. So that's success. Yeah, I know that you're with me and that there's no way that is success. That's such an old idea. And just burning the candle, there is no candle left. So anyway, the idea of success is so much larger than just that, nose to the grindstone and just push. And in the meantime, you lose your relationships and you lose your health and all those things. And I definitely experienced that on the health end. And it was a really good, it was painful lessons over some years for me, but really important lessons that have thankfully brought me to where I am today. And I've, added the soul part to the success, that there's so much more to success.
Right on. Yeah. I am definitely one of the, I call it one of my power questions in coaching, because this always comes up with a client. And that is, how do you define success? I had someone that was so focused on my corporate life and climbing the ladder, but I have this thing that's going to make, my organization, 7 figures. I'm so stoked on that. And I'm like, you have 2 kids. I know you have 2 kids and a spouse, and you live, she lived out of the US in South America in a very beautiful place. And I'm like, is that success to you? Just make this thing and then, roll the dice if people will be, with you as you go along, or you injure yourself, or you sleep deprive yourself, or, completely damage your health. And like, it felt like you could kind of see she kind of got shook out of that, like, wait a minute, what am I doing? And we had a really beautiful conversation of like, this is what I hope for my children.
Yeah.
Part of the reason why I do the work is to provide for them. She was the main breadwinner owning her own business, but it was, well, how are you going to enjoy the fruits of your labor along the way in a way where you're still having that awesome contribution, but you're not missing out on those awesome moments? And she's like, my relationship with my daughter is a little frayed right now because I never see her. It was like, what can we do about that? So it's such but that definition for everyone, I would encourage, if you don't reflect on this or journal about it or talk to your, confidants about it or friends or whatnot, it's definitely a good question to have with other people. It's also a really good question to have an answer for yourself, and it's evolving too. So it's not set in stone, but it's something that if you keep reflecting on it, it'll help guide you in a way that's more balanced with your lifestyle and relationships and health, career and all that stuff. So.
Right on, Sean. And I love that you just mentioning her daughter and her children. I believe so firmly. And I mean, we're setting the model for the next generation. And so if I can model that for them, I am setting them up for true success. True success. I think about, I guess you're talking about these different areas. It's don't go for the small success, which is just the, whatever many figures you're going for, and the career. The big success is the whole well-rounded success, and then it feeds into one another, and you're setting a great example for those to come.
Definitely.
So, love that.
So I had one more kind of side question on this. So you mentioned solo success. Was your transformation of feeling that burnout, was it a slow burn, or was there a moment where you're like, I need to make the choice to change?
Oh,
did you have a story about that, or was there an indicator for you?
Yeah. It was a colleague of mine, and I was in Philadelphia and doing some in-person one-on-one coaching with a corporate client. And my colleague was in town working with the same client and leading a workshop. And so we had dinner after work one night, and I had just been having like problems with my hands, with my wrists. So I stopped by the drugstore and, got some braces to wear at night to just try to stabilize my hands. And so I told her, remember I said, yeah, I'm facing this thing. And I was also dealing with plantar fasciitis, which I'd had for a while. So this was new. I'd had the plantar fasciitis for a while, and it was like that's putting it mildly. There was just a lot more. My podiatrist said, you have a lot of complex issues with your feet right now. Anyway, so that had been happening for a while. So I was wearing these like feet braces at night. And then I had for a long time, I'd had an original TMJ, had a body surfing accident of all things, but that had been long ago. But anyway, I had wearing this night guard to protect my jaw. So I said to my colleague, I said, gosh, I'm wearing like a brace in my mouth and a brace on my feet. And I said, isn't that funny? And I said something like that. And she said, I'm seeing a dentist, and then I'm seeing the podiatrist, and then so I'm seeing these different. She said, Mim, have you thought about how this might be systemic? Like, it's not just isolated feet, like it sounds like and I literally had not occurred to me. And that started me on the journey of what could systemically be? Oh, could it be stress? Oh, could it be not so happy with how I'm living? And so that's, so good to have the outside. I mean, that's Sean, I know for you and me, that's one of the reasons we got into coaching was we know how important it is for everybody, including us. I've got a coach. Everybody should have a coach. It's how important it is to have that outside perspective. So I needed that. My colleague did a little coaching. She's an excellent coach. She did a little coaching with me, and got me going in the right direction.
Wow. Was it so? Just because I'm curious, this is super interesting. Did you know it was like what was stressing you out? Did you I feel like some people are like the A-type, were like, okay, stressed out, 2-week plan. Tried this, or was it more of a process for you to kind of figure out? I think people might like to know how that went for you.
That really got me started. There was a couple things I know you and I are going to talk about, before we're finished, we're going to talk about the morphing of my work life. We've talked about where I've come from, and now we'll chat a little bit about where I'm going. But there was a little bit of, for me, hey, being a road warrior, some people are cut out for it. And some people do it. Some people are cut out for it their whole lives. Like for me, it was so great. And man, seeing all this, I've gotten to truly be all over the world in places that I never would have been. And it's such a privilege. But the way I was doing work was burning me out. So it was a mixture of seeing that, hey, structurally, I probably need to make some changes to my work life. The other part that it really started waking me up to was the mindset, because I really approached my work with a lot of stress. It's like my tennis coach had said years ago, like, hey, Mim, you don't have to do all that footwork. Like you're expending so much energy, like getting ready just for one stroke and all that footwork. You stop the bouncing, stop the jumping, stop the chill out and let the ball come and then go for it. And I've never forgotten that, because I realized then that, wow, that's kind of how I'm approaching my work life. Because I get all keyed up, leading presentations like every week, and new group of people, and you gotta set the credibility, and when you expect a lot of yourself, which I did, and so I would just get all keyed up, and so I kind of learned a success pattern of get worked up and succeed. Oh, good. That's how I succeed, is I get myself all tense and stressed internally, and then put on a nice face so no one can tell. Anyway, and I really believe that was a huge part of what led to my body saying, I don't like you right now. So, yeah.
And I love that metaphor. And I wonder how many people actually are doing all the extra footwork to just do the stroke, when all they needed to do was pay attention, maybe make a little subtle adjustment to get aligned, and then, line it up. I love that. I know in my life, that's happened so many times where I'm trying to do all these different things. I just need to take a step back, take a breath, focus, and, really nail that shot. So wanted to honor that. So
that's awesome. Thanks.
With all this figuring out of stress, do you have any daily or weekly habits that you started then, or that you discovered along the way, that help keep you happy, healthy, productive, or successful?
Yeah. It's a great question. Because out of that time, I mean, a gift, don't waste the suffering, as we've discussed. A gift from that time was, working on the mindset has become a major part of the business, because I was able to, I did a lot of studying and a lot of reading, and got a lot of coaching on that. And we've developed a signature, mindset. It's like a, I'd like a mindset model and process for how to, it's fairly unique, but it's based on neuroscience and a little quantum physics and psychology. And so that's something I practice every day. And I put it in the inside of, so I've got at Soul of Success, we've got a daily, what we call a daily growth planner. And it's something that you're going to use in the morning, that I use in the morning. I use it at night. So the morning to set up the day, and the night to wrap up the day. And then, throughout the day to keep on track. And so in the morning, it's, it's not just a day planner, it's really a growth planner, because you don't just want to plan your day and schedule your day and then wake up a year from now and go, I haven't really moved any big needle. Like I just did stuff. You don't just want to plan your day, you want to plan your growth. Life is about, if you're not growing, then something's going to go wrong, because everything is changing around us all the time. So we call it the daily growth planner. And in the morning, there's some specific questions to get the right mindset. There's a connecting to the vision and the goals. There's then identifying the day's priorities, and then scheduling those priorities to be sure that you get to those in your schedule, and they don't get scheduled out with all the stuff that can come up. And then in the evening, you come back, and we have this thing we call page turners, which is, it's actually an acronym, and it's a very specific set of questions to help you to start to reflect on the day, and to successfully turn the page from today to tomorrow. Awesome. I identify what I learned that day and how I grew that day, and assess how I did. And you mentioned there's so many different areas to success. So I have the 8 big areas, and of those 8 big areas, 6 really need to be done on a daily basis. So I go through assess myself on my 6 big areas, and 6 practice areas, and then choose the top 3 I'm going to focus on the next day. So it's like bookending the day. It's such a helpful way to go. And that is after I do, I get up and I do that signature meditation I mentioned, do some prayer and meditation, and then I do some movement, and then or do some reading actually after that. So the prayer and meditation, and then there's 20 minutes of reading, and then there's doing some movement, 20 to 30 minutes of movement, and then go into the growth planner.
Awesome. Okay. If I could push you for one habit that anyone that's watching could implement today, maybe for growth, Maybe is there like a favorite or top one that you absolutely must have to, I mean, it sounds like you must have to do all of these. That's not a real phrase, but is there one habit that we can share with the folks that are kind of that'll really help them?
Oh, absolutely. First, can I give two?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. First of all, everyone, game changer for me when I moved my alarm clock out of the bedroom. So yeah, the alarm clock is now in the hallway. So it has, I was the snooze queen. And so, I mean, and, that wastes some time. It's not deep sleep. It's just, it's a waste. And so it was remarkable. And, so it's out in the hall right next to the bathroom door. So it's just like, okay, I'm going to go in and wash my face. So that's like tactical. Do it. And then the other one I would say is definitely at the end of the day. And then whenever you can think of it during the day, you absolutely, a lot of people do their gratitudes at the end of the day, and please do your gratitudes. That's part of it. What people forget is to do what they're proud of from the day. And it is an incredible way when you start doing it every day, it's an incredible way to start. I get a lot of people saying, Mim, I got to boost my confidence. I'm going into these big meetings. I have a meeting with like a CEO and I'm freaked out. And it's you will grow your confidence when you start noticing the little things. I mean, little things. So like I would, as I said, definitely do it at the end of the day. You got to come up with at least 3 things that you're proud of from the day. And I highly also recommend that like set your alarm clock or like set a timer for 10 a.m. and one for 4 p.m. Like make yourself do it 3 times throughout the day, 10 a.m., 4 p.m., and then when you're going to bed. And when I say things you're proud of, I mean, be proud that I don't care what it is. It could be, I aced that presentation, but it also could be, hey, I made myself go take a walk around the block. And I like took my nose out of the grindstone and I went out and I walked 5 minutes. I took a 5 minute, I like gave myself a breather. That is something to be really proud of. When I failed at something or I let someone down after I did what I fixed and I apologized, whatever, then I forgave myself. Huge accomplishment for people who, most of us beat ourselves up all the time. So that's when I say proud of, it's not like, right? Like, let's raise both hands. No, anyway, so that's what I would say.
Awesome. I'm a big nerd for these tactical habits. I mean, moving the alarm clock out of the bedroom is, I could see how that could be such a game changer, especially as you mentioned the snooze queen and the snooze king. So it's time to switch that up in my life. And this idea of finding those moments to be proud of, big or small, and because it really is the small things that add up over time. So I love the subtlety and the power behind that habit. So definitely, if you're watching this, you're listening to this, go try it out. Get into action. That's one of my mantras in my coaching. So how quickly can we get into action? That's a hugely tactical thing that everyone I think can use. So the last question that we usually ask everyone here is, who influenced or helped you become super successful, and what was the main thing that they did, the main belief, the main habit, the main, who's that person, and what's the thing that pops in your head?
Such a great question. I would say 2 people, because they taught me like a combination of 2 things that are so important. Just like my parents, and they set the example and they drilled into us hard work, discipline. They taught me to play by the rules, and that served me really well. Got me through school well. Got me, like primary and high school. Got me into a good college, and it got me so far. And then the handoff. So they taught me to play by the rules. And then I get into my first job. My first boss taught me to break the rules. And that was maybe just as important. And the great thing is, she wasn't some crazy renegade. She was someone who so when I say she taught me to break the rules, she taught me like when and how to break the rules, because she did it with, savvy and smarts and class. So she had come in and discovered a need. She joined the company when she was in her early 20s, and she discovered a need. She was in recruiting, and she'd recruit all these engineers. Remember, it was the computer industry, so she recruited all these engineers, and they'd again and again come back to her in 3 months and say, hey, I'm like, thanks for hiring me, thanks for bringing me in. It's kind of good, but I'm drowning here. There's no training here. Mm-hmm. And so, this was a company that was, I think there was like 12,000 global employees. It wasn't a nothing company, and there was seriously no training function. So she started a training department, and she went right. She was like, these people need help. I'm going to help them, and I'm not going to mess around. I'm going to go. She went right to the CEO. So I loved that. So rather than going up the, chain of command, which she could have gotten the nose, or she calculated the risks, and she went around her. And there's a time to do that. There's a time to go around your management chain. I mean, normally you want to work through the management chain, but there was some, I know the company, there was some dysfunctional in that management chain. Anyway, she went right to the CEO, and she got the money to start this training and development, learning and development department. So seeing that is that she had all the, get up and go. And then she turned around and she handed it to me. She handed me hey, here's access here to senior people. Here's opportunity. You're going to be leading these, cross-functional teams with people who are more than twice your age. And it was incredible. So I learned how to break when and how to break the rules from her, and how to follow the rules from my folks.
I love that duality, because I think what I'm taking away is if you have a toolbox when you're in an organization, you need to know when to use the right tool, and you need to know when to improvise to get things done. Yeah. And so I really encourage people to think about their toolbox. Yeah. And do you have that process and decision-making way of saying like, nope, gotta do this in a way that expedites or gets the improvement that everyone really needs, instead of going through the bureaucracy, which having worked at two very large corporations in my career, it can be daunting.
It can be daunting. Yeah.
So awesome. Yeah, well, I love the folks that influenced you, and it's definitely helped you, like you said, in your career. So speaking of that, I know that you've been sort of pivoting out of the corporate world into the solo success.
Yeah. Yes.
How's that process been? Just really quickly, I know we're getting towards the end of our time here, but could you explain maybe the soul part of solo success? Since we talked about that before, and I know that that's a very important part of what you're doing. Yeah. How you help people, how to reach out to you if people are interested in learning more, getting that awesome success planner, which sounds amazing.
Oh, happy to. Thanks, Sean. Yeah. So the soul part is just everyone. I've spent my career really helping people with the skills, the real tactical skills for, succeeding with people in the world of work, or outside of the world of work. So many of these are just like how to work with people, how to communicate with people. And in addition to that, as we've talked about, to avoid that burnout and an unbalanced success. I mean, success really is just such a larger definition. We're talking about full life success, and work is a part of it. And there's these other parts. And so that's really where the soul part comes in. I mean, initially for me, it was, as I'd mentioned, mindset, and really getting down and getting deep and going, wow. I mean, not to get too far into it, but there are a lot of people like you go through the first part of your life with what I call your starter self, like the self that figures out how to tie your shoes and how to, get a grade that gets you into the next grade and in the next grade, et cetera, and like how to get a job. And so it's the self that like originally figures things out. And the thing is it really is like your starter self. And I think as at some point you find, wow, I'm kind of doing things or operating in ways that don't serve so well anymore. It's time for some new ways. And then you find, if you really go for that, if you dig down, I mean, there's much more to you than that starter self. And and if you persist with the starter self, I mean, some people would call it, you're kind of living as your false self, because it's not like there really is a greater you in there. And so, it's the true self. So I help people with that. And I do that some in these corporate settings, but you mentioned soul of success. Yeah, Sean, I've had a bee in my bonnet for 15 years. I remember leading a workshop for a financial institution in Wilmington, Delaware. And one person said, I wish I could take you home to talk to my husband. And somebody else said, I wish I could take you home to speak to my Girl Scout troop. and I just got this vision in my mind. And so this is what I'm doing right now. Vision in my mind, like this stuff is so good. It's got to get out of the corporate sphere. It's like, or it's just so important for people, for everybody. Yeah. And a lot of people don't work for a big company, or or they're a sole practitioner or whatever they're doing. This is stuff that could really help. So so Soul of Success, I'm carving out some time this fall, and I'm really drawing the best of these skills together, these skills and these, the skill sets and the mindsets together. And really right now I'm looking at for anyone who wants to put their career in overdrive, like you've been passed over for the promotion, or you're feeling stuck, or maybe you got a new job and you want to get started off right, first impressions. Or you feel like you're not confident, or you're not influential, or when you speak, nobody listens to you, or you just want to present yourself better at work, et cetera. So I'm really pulling together and offering and curating all of that for a 90-day coaching offering that I'm going to be putting out there later this fall, so that it really is. I mean, it's like a career breakthrough solution. So it really is about career, but it's going to enable you to bring together all these things that you need. So it's not an unbalanced success, because I've been there and I can help you avoid it, or I can help you get out of it. So that's what I'm working on now. And the soul part will definitely be very, very, very present in front of that success part. So.
Oh, I love that. And I'm very excited to see how this program evolves. So
thanks, Sean.
I hope that we can talk about that, when you're a little bit more settled on how that looks.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Awesome. Well, Mim, it's been a true pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and story on our silly little show here.
Awesome. It's my pleasure. My pleasure. Oh, and if anyone has any questions, soulofsuccess.com, or just email us at info@soulofsuccess.com. You can find me on LinkedIn at Mim Abbey. Find me on Instagram or Facebook at Soul of Success by Mim. So those are the ways, if anyone wants to find me. Love to chat with anyone that this has sparked interest for. And Sean, thank you so much. Again, I love what you're doing, and what a privilege to join you today.
Well, I feel the same. And all your information will be below, where they can watch this or listen to this awesome interview. Mim, thank you again so much. And we'll see you hopefully soon.
Thanks, Sean. Look forward to it. Take care.